Welcome to the 2013 St Magnus Festival. I wanted to give you a few highlights from the programme, tell you a little bit about what's going to happen. This year we're looking at many themes. Myths, legends, folk tales will be in the background with many concert programmes. Some of the repertoire that's played, some of the pieces that are being created in the theatre, some of the puppet shows, etc. will all be on a theme of fairy tales, folk legends, myths, all that kind of thing. We're also looking at the anniversary, the 200th anniversary of the birth of John Ray, an Orcadian explorer, doctor, who joined the Hudson Bay Company, went off to Canada and was instrumental in mapping the Northwest Passage, and is a very interesting character in terms of Orcadian, Scottish and Canadian history. It's quite an exciting year because for the first time ever the BBC Symphony Orchestra, London BBC Orchestra, is coming up to Orkney. 110 odd players will arrive on the island to do 3 programmes of music, very exciting programmes, with the Russian conductor, former head of the Bolshoi Theatre, Alexander Ledernikov. They'll do 2 programmes in the Piquecoy Centre and they'll do 1 in the cathedral where we're standing now. That'll be a programme for strings, a lovely lush string concert late night in the cathedral. Very excitingly, we have the American soprano Christine Brewer joining us this year as one of our soloists. She is a phenomenal talent, well known across the world, one of the most important singers of today in opera and on the concert stage. And she will be doing several performances. She's very excited, I know, about coming to Orkney, and she will be doing a recital in the cathedral here with Roger Vignol, another well-known pianist and accompanist. She'll then join the orchestra in a performance of the Liebestod by Wagner from Tristan and Isolde, and she'll also come along to do some masterclasses with our singers course. So it's possible to see her working in all guises, as recitalist, as soloist with the orchestra, and as teacher. She's one of the best singers in the world, without doubt, and it's a real excitement for me personally, but I think for the festival, to be bringing somebody who is of that stature to these shores. We also have another ensemble in residence, the Hebrides Ensemble, well known to the festival, a Scottish ensemble, been here many times. They will appear throughout the festival doing many performances, but also they'll be working with the composers course and the conductors course to help their students along the way. Other performers that are rather exciting are the Randers Chamber Orchestra. They've never been to Orkney before, but they come from Denmark, and they will again appear in several concerts, one again in the cathedral, a Schubert octet, a piece you don't hear very often, but that will be one of their performances. We have the tremendously dynamic group Ojo, who are 2 percussionists, and they have the most enormous battery of percussion that they play, and they have quite a good line-in banter as well, it has to be said. They'll be playing several concerts, one in Stromness, but also playing a brand new commission which we've made, which is from one of our composers course alumni, Dan Stern. So there'll be something brand new that they'll be revealing to the audience in June. We're also returning to a single venue Magfest strand this year. So Magfest will be in the Arts Theatre. Now the Arts Theatre is probably in its final year of existence as a new theatre begins to exist at the new grammar school. So this may be a farewell to the Arts Theatre, a lovely old venue, and in it we'll have a series of sort of cabaret, burlesque, puppet, children's shows. Wonderful Rhymes of Purple from Glasgow, who produce great music hall meets variety meets burlesque entertainment. We have a cabaret opera about some murderous French maids. We have some further French cabaret music from the 1950s, and 2 shows which involve puppets. One designed for very small children, Each Peach Pear Plum, which is Puppet Lab, a very famous children's book. We also have a wonderful group called The Wrong Crowd, who involve puppets and actors, and their award-winning show is called The Girl with Iron Claws, a show for all the family, which is a sort of cross between Red Riding Hood and Beauty and the Beast. Worth seeing, it's won awards wherever it's travelled to. Of course, there's always lots of local involvement in the festival. The stalwarts of the orchestral choral concert, our St Magnus Festival Chorus, will be once again joining the BBC Symphony Orchestra twice this year. On the first occasion, they'll actually be singing side by side with the orchestra, but also side by side with the orchestra will be lots of local young people. So the orchestra will in fact be half professionals and half young musicians from Orkney. They'll be conducted by Ben Jernan, who's familiar and an ex-student from our conductor's course. He's been here before to conduct the Wind Band a few years back. They'll be doing a programme of excerpts from many pieces of music, and amongst them, as I say, the festival chorus join them to sing O Fortuna from Carmina Burana. They'll sing the Hallelujah Chorus, the Triumphal March from Aida, and many other things. So that will be a big extravaganza involving many of the local Arcadians, young and old. The festival chorus comes back the following night to join the orchestra again to sing Stravinsky's Symphony of Psalms, a tremendous work which has a very strange orchestration. It's got 2 pianos in it, amongst other things, percussion, cuts out the violins from the orchestra, and is a very exciting, iconic piece of music, and I think the chorus will get their teeth into that and sing that fantastically well, as usual. One of the big celebrations this year, of course, is John Ray, whose 200-year anniversary of his birth we're celebrating. That will be celebrated mainly by a very big production called Long Strides, which is a community production written by Pam Bazant. And this is a very exciting production, not least because we'll be using one of the venues that hasn't been used in the festival before and is normally home to horses and horse riding. It's the riding centre at the market stands just on the edge of Kirkwall, huge arena space, and in it we'll be creating the Arctic Wastes and Cayleys in the fort and trading stations of the Hudson Bay Company in Canada. John Ray is also celebrated around the edges by other events. Johnson's Foy will look at the Orcadians that went to work for the Hudson Bay Company. We're bringing some performers across, one of them being John Wart Hannon, who's playing in the Festival Club, and showing a film taking an interesting angle on the John Ray story made by John Walker several years ago, and it brings in Inuit actors and the Dickens debate and so on to put a perspective perhaps on John Ray that's perhaps a little more controversial and unusual. This year's festival poet is Christopher Reid, who's won many awards for his work. He's also taught poetry and literature and writing at many universities. So he not only joins us as somebody reading his own poetry, but he'll be joining the writers course, which of course happens round about the same time as the festival, and giving masterclasses and advice to budding writers. The writers course always has a showing of their work, and we have an event called Poems with Tea, Cakes and Tunes. The tunes on that occasion will be provided by James Boyd, a fantastic guitarist who will be around the festival for several events and around the edges of the festival doing masterclasses and workshops in guitar. He'll also be one of our performers for the excursion programme, which will take him to the Italian chapel. And the other excursion that we take you on this year is one we haven't been to for a while, which is the island of Flotta and the church of Flotta. It's the island where the oil terminal is, but it's a nice crossing on the boat, and if you go on that excursion, you'll find the Northern Lights Wind Quintet, who will also be giving a world premiere, in fact, in that programme. But Flotta Church is in a beautiful spot. It's a lovely island and well worth visiting. It's not always one that visitors get to when they come to Orkney, but Flotta's a lovely jaunt. One of the exciting new venues this year is, for those that come to the festival regularly, they'll have known the Festival Club at the Albert Hotel. But this year we're moving the whole Festival Club to the Reel, which is very central to Kirkwall and indeed very near the cathedral. It's a cafe venue but also a hub of folk music in Kirkwall. And we'll be presenting our Festival Club programme there, which includes everything from local folk musicians to Canadian guests who play blues, to Professor Elemental, who is a rather mad hip-hop artist who does hip-hop about afternoon tea and cakes. Not quite what you'd expect from that kind of performer. He's quite zany, quite mad, and I think will be quite exciting as part of that programme in our new festival club at the Reel.
It's all so splendid, splendid. Yes, it